The room was dark, filled with the smell of metal and fear. A young woman opened her eyes, her hands tied with strange glowing chains. She tried to move, but the chains burned her skin whenever she pulled. She could hear heavy footsteps outside, slow and cold. Her heart raced. She did not remember how she was taken. One moment she was at home, the next she was here. In this place that did not feel human. The walls were alive, pulsing like veins. Lights flickered as if the building itself was breathing. She sat up slowly. Her breath came fast and shaky in the corner. She saw shadows of other prisoners. Some were crying softly. Others sat silent like stone. Their faces were pale, their eyes empty. As if they had already lost hope, then came the sound. A high-pitched hiss followed by the metallic scrape of a door. The room filled with blue light as the door opened. Tall alien figures stepped inside. Their bodies were covered in silver armor, their heads long and sharp. Their glowing yellow eyes scanned the prisoners like hunters looking at prey. One of them spoke in a language she did not understand. The words were deep and cruel. Another guard laughed. The sound was not like human laughter, it was sharp. Echoing like broken glass, she shivered. The aliens walked past each cell, stopping at her cage. They leaned closer, staring at her as if she was not a person, but a tool. She could not move. Her body shook, though she tried to stay still. One of the aliens whispered in broken human words. Perfect, strong, fertile. Her stomach turned. She wanted to scream, but fear sealed her throat. She realized then what they wanted. She was not here to be free, not here to live as herself. She was captured for something far worse. She was doomed to be a breeding slave. The words echoed in her mind. She pressed her forehead against the cold floor, trying to hide her tears. Around her, other prisoners kept their heads down. Nobody dared to resist. Nobody spoke, but then in the silence, she noticed something on the wall behind her chains. Scratched deep into the metal were strange marks. At first, she thought it was alien writing. But when she looked closer, her heart skipped. They were human words. Rough but clear, we will fight back. Her eyes widened. She traced the letters with her finger. Someone had written it long before her. Someone who refused to give up. The aliens turned and left the room. The heavy door closed with a loud hiss. Darkness returned. But the words on the wall glowed in her mind. We will fight back. Her fear was still there, heavy like a stone on her chest. But now there was something else. A small spark of hope. Maybe not everyone was broken. Maybe there were people here who still had fire in their hearts. Suddenly she heard a whisper. You saw the words, didn't you? It was an old voice, weak but steady. She turned her head. In the shadows, an older man leaned forward. His eyes shone even in the dark. Yes, she whispered back, her voice trembling. The man nodded slowly. Remember them, don't let them take your mind. Don't let them take your will. They want to break us, but they cannot break humanity forever. Before she could ask more, the sound of footsteps returned. Guards again. The old man leaned back quickly and pretended to sleep. The woman closed her eyes too. Acting like nothing happened, the door opened. The aliens dragged 2 prisoners out. The screams echoed as the door shut again. Her chest tightened. She wanted to help them, but she was powerless. She pressed her hand against the wall where the words were carved. We will fight back, she whispered to herself. The darkness grew deeper. Her chains burned her wrists. Fear and pain filled her body, but inside her mind, the spark of resistance had started to burn. She did not know how, she did not know when. But she promised herself one thing. This was not the end. This was only the beginning. The woman sat in the dark cell, her hands aching from the glowing chains. Sleep was impossible every time she closed her eyes. She heard the screams of those who were taken before her. The silence that followed was even worse when the heavy door opened again. She felt her body tense. 2 guards entered, dragging strange metal devices. They placed the machines near the cells, humming with energy. The blue glow lit up the prisoners' faces, showing fear in every eye. Then came another figure. This one was different, taller, dressed not in armor but in flowing robes. His head was long, his skin pale and smooth. His eyes glowed brighter than the others. His presence made the air heavy. He began to speak in his alien tongue. The words rolled out like thunder, sharp and commanding, but as he continued, the devices on the floor lit up and translated his voice into broken human language. You are chosen, the voice echoed. Your kind is rare, strong, perfect, you will serve. You will bring new life for our empire. Humanity will not die. Humanity will be used, gasps filled the cell block. Some prisoners cried out. Others slammed their chains against the walls. The woman's heart raced. The truth now stood before her. They were not simply slaves, they were tools for breeding, their bodies stolen for alien control. The robed alien raised a hand and the guards silenced the room with a single blast of energy. The shockwave hit the floor and sent sparks through the chains. Pain shot through her wrists. She bit her lip to stop from screaming. The alien walked slowly past each cell. His glowing eyes lingered on the woman longer than the others. "This one," he said, his broken voice heavy with satisfaction. "Strong will, strong body, a prize for the program." Her stomach turned. She wanted to vanish, to disappear into the shadows, but his gaze held her like a knife to the throat. The guards laughed their cruel laughter. As the robed figure left, she caught a glimpse of a small metallic tablet hanging from his belt. Strange symbols danced across its surface. She thought she saw human words flicker between the alien script, but it was gone too fast. The door closed again, leaving silence. The woman pressed her back against the wall. Her breath shook. Now she understood why they were taken, what the whispers meant. The aliens wanted human strength, human life, but not human freedom. From the corner, the old soldier spoke again, his voice low. "Now you see, this is the truth. This is why they fear us. Humanity's blood carries something they cannot control. That is why they keep us locked, chained, broken." She turned to him. "But no one fights, everyone just sits, waiting. Why?" The soldier leaned closer, his chains clinking softly. His face was lined with scars, his eyes sharp with memory. "Because they break the mind before the body. They show power, they make us believe we are less. But not all of us. Not forever," she whispered back. "The words on the wall. We will fight back. Who wrote them?" The old man's lips curved in a small smile. A human who refused to be silent. Someone who started something the aliens could not erase. A network, hidden even in chains, a plan whispered from cell to cell. Her heart pounded. She wanted to ask more, but the sound of heavy boots cut her short. Two guards dragged in a young man, half conscious, his clothes torn. They threw him into the cell across from hers. His face was bloody, his arms covered in burn marks. The guards shouted something in their alien tongue and slammed the door. The young man groaned, lifting his head slowly. His eyes met hers, and for a moment she froze. There was no fear in his eyes, only fire. Are you one of them?" she whispered, unsure if her words would reach. He nodded weakly, his voice rough but steady. "I am. We are not finished. We are not broken. Humanity will rise again." Her breath caught. The words sent a spark through her veins. For the first time since her capture, she felt more than fear. She felt the beginning of something greater. Around them, the other prisoners stirred. Some looked up with tired hope. Others whispered prayers. The woman pressed her hand against the wall again, tracing the carved words, "We will fight back." She looked at the young man, then at the old soldier, and something inside her shifted. The chains were still there. The fear was still heavy, but now she could see it. The truth was no longer only darkness, it was also the seed of rebellion. The aliens believed they had taken her body, but they had not taken her will. The words of the robed figure echoed in her head. Humanity will be used. She clenched her fists against the burning chains and whispered into the dark. "No, humanity will fight." The prisoners listened. The cell was silent for a moment. Then one voice whispered back, then another. Soon, soft voices carried the same words through the darkness. A broken chorus of defiance outside. The guards could not hear it, but the walls did. And in the shadows, the fire of humanity began to grow. The woman could not sleep. Her wrists still burned from the glowing chains, but her mind was burning even more. She kept hearing the words of the young man across the cell. Humanity will rise again. Every time she repeated it in her mind, her fear became smaller. Her eyes searched the dark prison. She noticed how every prisoner kept their head down, silent, hopeless. The aliens wanted them to stay that way, weak and broken. But she began to wonder, what if even one voice was enough to break the silence? Hours passed, then the sound of chains shifted. The young man lifted himself slowly against the wall. His face was still bruised, but his eyes glowed with quiet strength. He looked at her and without speaking nodded once. It was not just a nod, it was a promise. The old soldier stirred too, his scarred face tired but alert. "You feel it, don't you?" he whispered. His voice was quiet but steady. "That fire, it never dies, even here, even in chains." She leaned closer, her voice trembling. "But what can we do? They have weapons, power, everything. The soldier gave a dry laugh. Power, yes, but they do not understand humanity. They do not understand that even in the darkest cell, we find ways to fight. I have seen it before. Prisoners who send messages with scratches on the wall. With coughs, with footsteps, every sound can be a code. Every movement a signal. Her heart pounded. She thought of the words scratched into the wall. We will fight back. Maybe those words were not just a memory. Maybe they were a map that night. When the guards were gone, she noticed something. The young man tapped his chain against the floor. Once, then paused, then twice. It seemed random at first. But then she realized the rhythm was repeating. She whispered, "What are you doing?" The man's lips curved into a faint smile. "Speaking, in a language the aliens cannot hear." The old soldier chuckled. "He is right, it is a code old as war itself." The woman listened carefully. Slowly she began to understand. The taps formed patterns, the pauses carried meaning. It was a message passed between cells, hidden in plain sight through the darkness. Faint taps echoed back from the left, from the right. From deeper in the prison, her breath caught. The network was real. The whispers of rebellion were alive. The young man's voice was soft but full of fire. "We are not alone. There are more of us than you think. Some waiting, some planning. Humanity has not given up. It only waits for the moment to strike." The woman's chest tightened. For the first time since her capture, she felt her fear turn into something else. Hope. Fragile but alive. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor. The prisoners froze. 2 guards entered, their glowing staffs buzzing with energy. They scanned the cells. One of them barked something in their alien tongue. His yellow eyes searched the shadows. The woman quickly lowered her head. Pretending to be broken like the others, her heart thudded in her chest. She was sure they had heard the tapping. The guard stepped closer to her cell, staring at her. His clawed hand reached through the bars, brushing against her hair. She wanted to scream, but she stayed still. The old soldier coughed loudly. Drawing the guard's attention, the alien hissed, slammed his staff against the bars of the old man's cell, then turned and left. The woman's chest rose and fell fast. She glanced at the old soldier. He gave her a faint smile. "Distraction is also a weapon," he whispered. When the guards left, the tapping returned. Faster this time, urgent. The young man's chain tapped out a new message. The soldier whispered the translation. "Tomorrow during food time, test the strength of their patrol. A spark is coming." Her eyes widened. Tomorrow something was going to happen. The woman felt her blood race. She pressed her hand against the carved words again. "We will fight back." That night she dreamed not of chains but of breaking them. She dreamed of stars, of running free across Earth's skies, and of humans standing side by side against the alien empire. Morning came. The guards entered with strange bowls of gray liquid. Their laughter echoed as they tossed the bowls through the bars. The smell was foul, but the prisoners crawled toward it anyway. Hungry and weak, the woman picked up her bowl but paused. The young man across from her caught her eyes. He lifted his chain and tapped once, twice, paused. She listened. The message was clear: be ready. Her hands shook. Her heart thundered. Fear screamed inside her. But something else whispered louder. This was the spark, the beginning. As the guards turned to leave, a prisoner farther down the hall stumbled forward, spilling his food on the floor. A guard struck him with his staff. Laughter echoing, but then another prisoner moved. Then another. Chains clanged. Bowls crashed, the room filled with noise. "Chaos," the guard shouted, confused, distracted. The woman pressed her hand against the wall, feeling the words burn inside her. "We will fight back," she whispered. Her eyes locked with the young man's, and for the first time since her capture, she felt it fully. Hope was no longer a dream. It was here, alive, breathing. The spark of rebellion had been lit. The prison was never silent anymore, not after the spark. Not after the prisoners began to believe that they were not alone every night. Faint taps and whispers moved through the darkness like secret rivers of hope. The woman listened, learned, and waited. Her fear was still there, but it no longer ruled her. The next day the air felt different. The guards walked with their usual arrogance, but the prisoners watched them more closely. Their eyes were not as empty as before. There was something hidden behind the silence now. Something sharp. The woman sat in her cell, her chains heavy on her wrists. She glanced at the young man across from her. He lifted his hand, scratching his chain against the floor in a quick rhythm. Today, her chest tightened. The first strike was coming when the food came. The guards entered as usual, tossing the gray liquid bowls into the cells. They laughed at the starving humans, mocking their weakness. But the woman noticed how the prisoners moved carefully, slowly as if waiting for the same signal. Then it happened. A prisoner near the back of the hall stumbled forward, pretending to collapse. His chains rattled loudly as he fell. One of the guards hissed and stepped closer, jabbing him with the glowing staff. At that exact moment, another prisoner lunged. His chains wrapped around the guard's leg, pulling hard. The guard screamed. Crashing to the ground, the staff fell from his claws, sparking as it hit the floor. The room exploded with sound. Prisoners shouted. Chains rattled, bowls crashed. The guards shouted in their alien tongue, trying to regain control. But for the first time, humans moved with fury, not fear. The woman's heart pounded as she pulled against her chains. The young man across the hall threw himself forward. Grabbing the fallen staff, it burned his hands, but he held it tight. Sparks danced as he raised it high. The prisoners cheered, their voices raw but fierce. The second guard fired a blast of energy. It hit the wall, sending shockwaves through the room. The woman fell to the ground, her ears ringing. The young man staggered but did not fall. He slammed the stolen staff against the guard's chest. The alien howled, collapsing in a burst of blue light. Silence fell for a breath, then the prisoners roared. The woman's chains still burned her skin, but she felt stronger than ever. She looked around and saw faces she had only seen in shadows before. Now those faces were alive with fire. They shouted, cried, reached through their cells. The young man raised the staff high, his voice strong. We are not slaves. We are humanity. The words shook the prison like thunder. The old soldier shouted too, his voice filled with power. Remember who you are, remember Earth, we will not kneel. The guards outside rushed in, their weapons glowing, but the prisoners were ready. Chains whipped through the air, bowls smashed against alien heads. The humans fought with nothing but their rage and desperation. But for a moment it was enough. The woman pressed her body against the bars, her hands reaching. She grabbed the broken staff from the fallen guard and pulled it closer. Her wrists screamed in pain, but she held it tight. For the first time, she felt a weapon in her hands. A blast of energy shook the floor. The aliens fired wildly, their voices shrieked. But the humans did not stop. Even in pain, even in blood, they fought. The woman swung the staff against the bars, sparks flying. The metal cracked. Her breath came fast, sweat dripping down her face. The young man's voice rose again. This is only the beginning. One spark becomes fire, the prisoners echoed him. Shouting through the chaos, we will fight back. We will fight back. The aliens began to retreat, dragging their fallen guards with them. Their screams echoed as the heavy door sealed shut. The prisoners stood in the dark, breathing hard. Their bodies hurt. Their chains burned, but their eyes were alive. The woman clutched the staff, staring at the glowing weapon in her hands. She whispered, "We can do this, we can fight." The old soldier leaned forward, his voice rough but filled with pride. You see now, they bleed, they fall, they are not gods. They are afraid. The young man lifted the staff again, his face fierce. Tonight we fought with chains. Tomorrow we fight with freedom. The woman pressed her hand against the wall, feeling the carved words under her fingers. We will fight back. She whispered the words again, and this time, the whole prison whispered with her. Hope was no longer a secret. It was a weapon, and for the first time the aliens knew fear. The prison was no longer the same. After the first strike, silence did not feel the same. It was not empty anymore, it was waiting, heavy with promise. The prisoners whispered more boldly now, passing messages in coughs and knocks in the scrape of chains. The spark had turned into a flame. The woman sat in her cell, the stolen staff hidden under loose stones in the corner. Her wrists were raw from chains, but her eyes carried something new, fire across from her. The young man watched the guards with sharp focus. His wounds had not healed, but his spirit was unbroken. The old soldier whispered every night, teaching them small tricks. Every guard has a rhythm. Learn it, count the steps, watch the way they look. Fear is their weakness. His voice was steady. His eyes carried memories of other wars, other battles humanity had survived. One night, the young man tapped a new message into the floor. Urgent tunnel. The woman leaned close, listening. The old soldier explained, beneath this place are old service tunnels. Some of us know. The aliens think they are sealed, but they are not. If we reach them, we can move unseen. Her heart raced. For weeks she had felt trapped in endless walls, but now there was a way out. A hidden path, she whispered. How do we reach it? The soldier's smile was faint but fierce. With unity, with timing, with courage. The next day, the guards brought more prisoners, new faces, broken and afraid. The woman watched closely as one of the new arrivals stumbled, but in his eyes she saw something different. He glanced at the young man, nodded once, and tapped his chain against the bars. The same rhythm, the same code. The network was growing at night. The tunnels came alive with whispers. They mapped the prison with memory. Counting steps, measuring shadows, each prisoner carried a piece of the plan. Hidden in their minds, if one was caught, the rest could still move forward. The woman could feel the shift. Fear had not vanished, but it was no longer the master. Hope had taken its place, hope mixed with fury. The first test came sooner than they expected. A group of guards entered one evening. Dragging a young girl from her cell, the prisoners froze. They had seen this before, someone taken, never to return. The girl screamed. Her voice echoed through the hall. The woman's body shook. Every instinct told her to stay still, to survive. But then the young man's eyes locked on hers. He nodded. And in that moment she knew. Silence was no longer an option. The old soldier growled. Now the woman pulled the hidden staff from the stones. Its glow lit her face. The guards turned, shocked. But before they could react, chains rattled, prisoners lunged. The hall exploded into chaos again. This time it was different. It was not wild rage, it was organized fury. Each prisoner moved with purpose, some distracted, others attacked. Some formed barriers with their chains, protecting the weak. The woman swung the staff with all her strength. Sparks burst as it struck a guard's chest. The alien shrieked, falling hard. Blood hissed against the floor for the first time. She did not feel powerless, she felt human. The young man leapt at another guard. Stealing his weapon, the old soldier shouted commands, his voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. Left side, push forward, block the door. Do not let them escape. The prisoners obeyed, moving as one. The guards panicked. Their perfect order broken by human fury. Their glowing eyes darted in fear. When the last guard fell, the hall was silent, except for the heavy breath of dozens of prisoners. Their chains still bound them. But their eyes glowed with something brighter than freedom. Defiance. The girl who had been dragged forward was pulled back into the crowd. She cried against the woman's chest, whispering thanks. The woman held her tight, whispering back, We are not alone. We are many. We are strong. Then a deep rumble shook the floor. Sirens screamed through the prison. Red lights flashed across the walls the aliens had noticed. The rebellion was no longer a whisper, it was a roar. The old soldier's face was grim but fierce. They will come with more stronger ones, but now we have fire. They cannot put it out. The young man raised his stolen weapon, his voice rising. Tonight, they learned the truth. We are not cattle. We are not tools. We are humanity, and we fight. The prisoners echoed him, their voices shaking the very walls. We fight, we fight, we fight. The woman pressed her hand against the wall again, feeling the carved words under her skin. We will fight back, she whispered it. But this time it was not just a promise. It was reality. The rebellion had begun. The flames of humanity's fury were burning, and nothing could stop them now. The alarm screamed through the prison like the cry of a dying beast. Red lights flashed across the walls, turning the halls into rivers of blood. The prisoners stood together, their chains heavy, their bodies bruised, but their spirits burning hotter than fire. The woman clutched the glowing staff, sweat dripping down her face. Around her, dozens of humans gripped stolen weapons, makeshift blades, and even broken chains. They were not soldiers, not trained fighters, but they were human, and that was enough. The young man's voice cut through the chaos. This is our chance. They will come with everything. We must strike first. Before they crush us, the old soldier stepped forward, his scarred face fierce. We cannot wait, we cannot hide. Tonight we show them what it means to fight humanity. The prisoners roared. The sound shook the halls. The heavy doors at the far end burst open. Dozens of armored guards stormed in, their glowing staffs raised. Their alien voices screamed commands, their weapons crackling with deadly energy. The humans did not retreat, they charged. The woman swung her staff against the bars. Shattering them into sparks, she leapt into the open hall. Her feet pounding against the floor, the guards fired. Blue blasts of energy streaking through the air. Prisoners fell. Screams filled the hall. But the humans kept running. Their fury drowned out their fear. The young man smashed his stolen weapon into the first guard. sparks flying as the alien fell. Another prisoner tackled a guard from behind, wrapping chains around its throat, dragging it down. The hall became a storm of flesh, steel, and fire. The woman fought like she had never fought before. Her arms burned, her lungs ached, but her heart roared. Every strike of her weapon carried all her anger, all her pain. She was no longer a prisoner. She was a warrior. The aliens screamed in rage, but their order collapsed under the chaos. They were used to obedience, to silence, not to human fury. The prisoners moved like waves, unpredictable, unstoppable. The old soldier barked commands. Push them back, break their line. Take their weapons! His voice carried strength. And the humans obeyed. Soon more guards flooded in. Their armor gleamed under the red lights. Their weapons hummed with deadly power. The woman's chest tightened. The numbers were overwhelming. But then she saw it. The humans were no longer afraid. Prisoners slammed doors shut to block the aliens. Others climbed onto walls and dropped from above. Striking hard, even in chains, humans fought like predators. Their rage turned weakness into strength. The young man raised his weapon high, his voice breaking through the chaos. They think we are nothing. They think we are slaves, but we are humanity, and we are fire. The roar of the prisoners shook the walls. We are fire, we are fire, the guards faltered. Their yellow eyes flickered with doubt. For the first time, they looked unsure. The woman charged forward, slamming her staff against the floor. Sparks burst. She faced one of the tallest guards. Its armor shining, its weapon hummed with deadly energy. The alien hissed and swung. The blow nearly knocked her down, but she refused to fall. With a cry, she struck again. The weapon sparked. The alien staggered. She pushed harder. Every strike fueled by the screams of the captured, by the carved words on the wall. We will fight back. At last the alien fell. Crashing against the floor, the prisoners erupted in cheers. But victory came with a cost. Bodies lay scattered, some still, some groaning in pain. The air stank of blood and smoke. The woman's arms shook, her breath heavy, but her eyes burned brighter than ever. The old soldier raised his voice. Look at what we have done, look at what we are. They bleed, they fall, they are not gods. They are not our masters, the prisoners shouted in reply, their voices one. We are not slaves. We are humanity. But the rumble beneath their feet told them it was not over. The prison itself shook. Machinery roared awake. A deep voice boomed through the walls, alien and cold. Resist, and you will be destroyed. The young man spat on the floor, his face fierce. Let them come, let them try. Tonight they learn the fury of humanity. The woman lifted her staff high, her voice joining his. We fight until the stars are free. The prisoners raised their weapons, their chains, their broken bodies. Together they roared, louder than the alarms, louder than the prison walls. It was not just rebellion anymore, it was war. And humanity's fury had only begun. The prison shook as if the world itself was trembling. Alarms wailed, red lights flashed, and the walls groaned under the weight of war. Humanity had risen, and the aliens were no longer in control. The woman stood at the front of the prisoners, her hands tight around the glowing staff. Her body ached from wounds, her wrists burned from chains, but her eyes burned brighter than fire. Behind her, men and women stood together, battered but unbroken. They were no longer prisoners, they were soldiers. The young man stepped beside her, his face scarred but fierce, his voice rang across the hall. This is it, this is our moment. No more cages, no more chains, tonight we stand. Tonight we win. The old soldier raised his fist, his voice booming. They thought they could breed us like cattle. They thought they could break us, but we are humanity. And we never bow. The roar of the prisoners shook the prison like thunder. The heavy doors at the far end burst open. This time it was not just guards, it was the alien commander. The robed figure from before, his eyes glowed like suns. His voice was deep, cold, filled with hate. You think you are strong. You think you can resist, but you are nothing. Humanity is nothing. The woman's chest tightened. Fear clawed at her, but then she remembered the carved words. We will fight back. She stepped forward, her voice steady. We are not nothing. We are humanity, and we fight, the commander hissed. Raising a massive weapon, lightning crackled across the floor. Prisoners screamed as the blast shook the hall. But the humans did not run, they charged. The battle was chaos. Sparks lit the air. Blood stained the floor. The humans fought with chains, with stolen weapons, with their bare hands. They fought with everything they had left. The young man clashed with guards, his weapon striking again and again. His voice rose above the screams. For Earth? For freedom. The old soldier moved like a storm, his chains whipping through the air. His voice carried over the noise. Hold the line. Push them back. The woman faced the alien commander. Their eyes locked. His power was overwhelming. But her will was stronger. He swung his weapon. Energy flashing, she dodged, the blast burning the floor where she had stood. She struck back, her staff sparking against his armor. The commander snarled, his voice echoing, You are weak. You are prey, she gritted her teeth, slamming the staff into his chest. No, we are fire, the prisoners roared, surging forward. Their fury overwhelmed the guards. One by one, the aliens fell, their glowing eyes dimming, their weapons clattering to the ground. But the commander still stood, his body crackling with power. He swung his weapon again, the blast knocking humans to the floor. The woman staggered, her arms shaking. She could not fall, not now. The young man ran to her side, his voice urgent. Together, the old soldier limped forward too, his eyes fierce. Now, strike now. The three of them moved as one. The woman swung her staff. The young man drove his stolen weapon forward. The old soldier dragged his chains across the commander's arms. Sparks burst, energy cracked, the alien screamed with one final cry. The woman thrust her staff into the commander's chest. The light flared, then died. The alien collapsed, his body shaking, his glowing eyes fading into darkness. Silence fell. For a moment the prisoners stood frozen, their bodies broken, their breath ragged. But then the truth sank in. The commander was dead. The prison was theirs. The humans roared, their voices shaking the walls. Their chains rattled as they lifted weapons into the air. The woman dropped to her knees, her chest heaving. Tears filled her eyes, not of sorrow but of victory. The young man placed a hand on her shoulder. You did it. We did it. The old soldier looked around at the broken prison, his voice soft but proud. This is not the end, this is the beginning. Humanity has shown its fury and the stars will hear us. The woman stood, looking at the scattered alien bodies, the broken chains, the faces of the free. She raised her staff high, her voice clear. We are not slaves. We are not tools. We are humanity, and we are free. The roar that followed was like thunder breaking the sky. Outside the prison walls, the alien empire stirred. They would hear of this rebellion. They would come with armies, with greater weapons. But humanity had already changed. Humanity had remembered its fire. The woman looked up at the ceiling, at the faint glow of stars beyond. Her voice was a whisper but carried the weight of a promise. We will fight. We will rise. Humanity will never kneel again. The humans stood together, united, their chains broken, their eyes burning. The prison was only the first battle. The war for the stars had just begun.